Introduction. In 2007, Bethany Trinity Lutheran Church is celebrating 235 years of God's care and blessing to our congregation over all these years. Many people, members, faithful pastors, and others with dedicated service and support have kept the faith all that time since 1772. They have continued to build and expand an institution that is the oldest congregation in the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod. The program relates the service and faith of only one family in our congregation out of many, the family of Michael Conrad and his descendants. Our church, Bethany Trinity Lutheran Church, is the oldest congregation in the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, as proven by the baptismal record of April 6, 1772, for Anna Margaret Berger. The Berger family were among a group of Germans in the valley who met for worship in homes and barns. Itinerant preachers came by very seldom. But someone was recording the sacramental acts even then. We have the original church records, partly in German and the rest in English, from that date till now. Anna Margaret's father, Jacob Berger, born in 1745 in America, is referred to as the patriarch of the congregation. The name was changed to Barger later. During his service of about 4 years in the Revolutionary War, his wife Elizabeth and 6 children lived in a house way out in the country with no close neighbors. They were real sturdy pioneers. Later we will learn the connection between the two families as they became one and were leaders in the church for many years. Many of their descendants were devoted worshipers and workers in the church.
All of the early members of the church were German immigrants, recently arrived in America and spoke only German. Most of the rest of the Shenandoah Valley residents were of Irish or Scotch-Irish descent and had arrived in greater numbers earlier in the 1700s. They had settled and built houses and Protestant churches such as Tinkling Spring in 1740 and the Old Stone Church in Fort Defiant. They did not appreciate the invasion of the Germans, who kept to themselves and spoke a strange language, German. All of the area east of the Blue Ridge was occupied and controlled by the English. They liked the Germans and others coming into the Shenandoah Valley because they would protect the English from the Indians west of the Blue Ridge Mountains. However, the Church of England was also east of the Blue Ridge, and all church marriages had to be performed by their clergy, as pastors of other denominations were not permitted to perform any official acts. The only way the valley people could get married was by a justice of the peace. The English thought the valley farmers working in the fields were strange, not aristocratic. In fact, if the two passed on the road, the English would not speak. Conditions were very bad in Germany in the early 1700s. All of the farmland was occupied and the trades were filled. The land was recovering from terrible wars. And was ruled by the Duke of Württemberg, a gifted but harsh ruler. As the prospects for a living income were not too good, what was an ambitious young man to do? Michael Kynott, whose ancestry can be traced to 1567, was born in 1722 in Anstemedigen, Germany. Kynott was translated to Coiner in America. He had 11 sisters and brothers. He was brought up a Lutheran not too long after the Reformation, with all its turmoil in Germany. He attended church regularly and had a firm faith in the Lutheran doctrines. The Kynotts were known as industrious, steady religious people. The area in the region of Württemberg in the southern part of Germany is beautiful, and in many respects it looks like the Shenandoah Valley. The Hohenzollern Castle was in sight of where Michael lived as a young man. Michael sought out the trade of a metal worker. He made guns, chains, and many other items of metal. Evidently, he was good at his trade, as he made voyages to America to sell his wares. He was an industrious and ambitious young man. The countryside in Germany where Michael grew up is beautiful. It has rolling hills and open countryside with no buildings to be seen. All animals were kept in the lower part of the house or in a shed nearby in the villages. Each day the farmers would go with the work animals to their farm and bring them home when the workday was over. All houses are congregated in small villages. The church that Michael attended has been torn down, but we have a picture of it. The street scene in Anstemedigen today looks like Waynesboro did in 1930. Little has changed where Michael grew up. Starting about 1743, Michael Kynott, the name has been translated to Coiner with many variations in spelling, made several trips to America, bringing with him metal items he had made to sell in America. His sister Catherine, with a beautiful singing voice, accompanied him on his last voyage. A violent storm at sea caused her to be swept overboard. Michael had to dump all of his wares overboard to lighten the ship. So he arrived in Philadelphia in 1747, completely broke and alone. What a way to enter this country!